the cost of living crisis, but yeah, there's also the cost of doing business crisis, because business costs are going up at the same, if not a higher rate than personal costs.
The suppliers sneak in and OCRise all the time, and because you're not looking at it or the media aren't alerting you to it, you're just going about your business and then charging people based on what you charged them last week or the month before, and then don't realise when accountants come along and go, hey, your margin has been squeezed, what's going on?
People go, oh, I've got a 30% margin because that's just what's normal. No, it's not. There's businesses out there that are doing double that easily. It's just because you're not trying or taking the interest to be able to go, hang on, let's understand this at a really deep level.
When I was growing up, my dad told me to protect myself at all times, and I just made that up. But in business, you need to protect your margins at all times.
Well, and how did that advice play out for you?
Well, he was worried about my sister beating me up, you see. So he was teaching me.
You got a bigger sister, eh?
Yeah, well, I'm now bigger than her. She's older.
Yeah.
She was, older. I mean, until I went through puberty at 31, she was bigger. So I did have to look after myself and protect myself from the
got a
siblings.
few battle scars.
Plenty.
Yeah, and it's made you the robust advisor that you are today.
Exactly.
Yes.
And it really has flowed over into business where I can now teach people to protect their margins at all times. And I think it's something that we're seeing this year that business owners think that they're doing, but actually A, either aren't looking at the numbers, or B, aren't doing it to the level they need to be. And one of those reasons, I think, is because they're scared. They're scared to put their prices up.
Yeah, and you've hit the nail on the head for reason number one that I was going to come to in terms of just that not wanting to or complacency. I don't know what the reason is. I'd love to understand, but around simply knowing your numbers. And that is, as a reminder for business owners, gross profit is sales less or minus your direct input costs related to whatever it is that you're selling. And the example that we've had in the past is always Bev and her t-shirts. And Bev imports her t-shirts and she's going to stick logos on them with her banana. So she's going to sell them for $100. That's the classic one that we've got. Let's ignore GST just for the time being. The t-shirts are going to cost $40. That's the landed input cost. It might cost maybe $5 to stick a logo on them. And then we go, well, we're going to pay some wages, and it might be $5 per t-shirt to slap them on, package them up, and then send them out the door. So I believe that comes to $50. Then there might be some other kind of sundry input costs that come with the selling process. So let's say it's $60 of direct costs. So we've got $100 for a t-shirt that was sold. It must be a great t-shirt for $100. It's cost us $60, so that means there's $40 left over, if my math serves me correctly, and you're writing it down. I can kind of see it from here, which helps. So we've got $40 of gross profit. You'd sometimes hear people talk about margin, gross profit, and these terms sometimes get a little bit interchangeable and can be confusing. Gross profit is in dollar terms, so that's the $40 that we were talking about before, and margin, or gross margin, or gross profit in percentage terms, is the percentage of gross profit, which is 40 divided by 100. Was it $40?
Yep.
Yeah. So it gives you 40%. Now, it's 40% of sales. So in other words, for every dollar of sales, you're making 40 cents, or for every $100, you're making $40. So we sell $1,000 worth of t-shirts, we should in theory be left with $400. Easy maths. What we're pointing out here in this podcast is that cost piece, that so many business owners don't have their eye on the ball of those direct input costs. And we've seen, and it's been so evident in the media this year, of the cost pressure, and it hasn't been directly pointed that businesses are facing, but just that wages have been going up. You know, there's wage pressure on, and the cost of living. And we've spoken before, there's the cost of living crisis. But yeah, there's also the cost of doing business crisis, because business costs are going up at the same, if not a higher rate than personal costs. And I think business owners are then too scared to look at what those costs are and then go, oh, gee, okay, my margin's shrinking, don't even know that it is. But then once they do work it out, go, oh, what are my options? Oh, I've got to put up my prices. Oh, no, don't want to do that.
Yeah, and of course, you know, to go a layer deeper, so that's gross margin, let's say, for accounting purposes. Then we've got our net margin, but we're going to focus on gross margin in this. But where I think people have been slammed as well is they haven't kept up to date with how their input costs are increasing and then their gross margin's decreasing, but then their overheads are increasing too. Think insurance, think rent, think overheads. And even a good example, we come to record this podcast and to park, it's costing like $25 in the streets out there for a few hours, and then times that by 2, if we're taking 2 cars, there's $50 that we've got to pay to the so.
Shout out to Auckland Transport. We haven't had any tickets.
Well, that's why we're paying it, because we know that they're so fastidious, is my favourite word at the moment, an old Palmy Boys word of the week. They drive around with that camera car to catch people who aren't paying.
Yes.
But what I was thinking is, I wonder, for me, it's right by a cafe. And I reckon, I would guess that it would impact customer behaviour of, I don't want to go to that cafe because the parking is so expensive there. So therefore, we're not going to meet there. And that poor old cafe, often when I go in there, isn't actually that busy. And I think, okay, that cafe was probably built for this block of offices and people.
Mate, anyone would think the way you're talking that you've got a retail business in Vanilla Viv Beck's heart of the city.
Yeah.
That's their number one issue, why the Auckland CBD is frankly fucked, because Auckland Transport Council and everyone else just make it difficult for people to get there and spend money. I mean, that's why the common issue that we see. You make it difficult, people aren't going to go and spend their money. You make it easy, people will come.
Yeah, it's so expensive. You know, I've been here twice to record, and it's probably cost $50 to come and do productive work. And the council will get $50, and you've already paid rates to maintain those roads anyway.
I think we need to bring the scooter back and then get another one, and then we can just hoon down here, try and not get killed in the process, and then just hoon back once we're done.
Save yourself some money. Big goals start with planning, and that's why we run 90-day business planning sessions one-on-one with aspirational business owners. Together, we help you set clear targets and start taking action straight away, and action on the things that matter, like pricing, margin, cash flow, ideal customers, and making sure that you're moving the needle to get closer to where you want to be. We've got tons of strong Google reviews in this space, so go and check those out. This could be perfect for you if you're after no fluff business planning and are keen on accountability. If you want to apply to book your 90-day plan, go to nextadvisory.nz and let's see if this is a good fit for you. So people are getting slammed at a gross margin, but they're also getting slammed at a net margin. I think that's a little bit of what people are seeing out there who aren't looking at their numbers, to keep it very simple for people. But the biggest input cost normally for people are their materials, say in construction, and their labour. You're making your T-shirt, yep, it's probably those raw materials and getting them landed like Phil says. But on the way here, this is a good example with this T-shirt. Let's say it's Barker's that you're talking about. So out of that $40 that they've got left, they've still got to pay for their lease spots, and they've got to pay Damien McKenzie's marketing fee because he's on the billboard at the moment.
Is he?
I doubt that's cheap.
Hot guy.
I doubt it's cheap. You still then got to pay for the billboard as well.
Yep.
So a business needs to have enough margin in that product or service to be able to pay those things. So I would hate to know what the margin is in one of those Barker's T-shirts to be able to pay for all of those expenses. Maybe
Has to be a lot to be able to afford DMAC.
Yeah, might be part of some sort of All Blacks brand deal or something, and some contras going on. But anyway, it doesn't matter if you're a big business or a small business, you have to understand this stuff. What I have been impressed by recently is some of the people in construction, if they get in touch with us about joining us, doing some planning, doing some coaching, and I say, oh, what are you using to keep an eye on your numbers? And they would... Years ago, they would say, oh, Xero, I've got Xero. Now, quite often, they're like, oh, Xero, but I've got Fergus as well. I've got Tradify. And it's really common for them to actually get these other platforms and learn a lot about it. And I worked with them recently where they were showing me how they do their pricing. And, Fergus shows me this. And if I put these costs in, it'll show me if I want this level of margin, what my markup needs to be, because those are two different things.
Yes.
And I'm like, wow, you're learning a lot. This is good. And then, okay, saying, well, then we need to do some back costing at the back end of this to see, did it actually come out based on how you thought it was going to be, or what was in there that you didn't expect?
Wait, you're speaking, mate. Can you swing a hammer on a job site?
Shit, no. But these guys can, and so I want to try and make sure that they can run a sustainable and profitable business. And it's cool to see them learning that stuff. And I think too many Kiwi business owners for years have just kind of gone, oh, I don't need to get into that shit.
No.
But why are liquidations so high? Part of it is because of this. They don't understand margin.
Yep. And some people will listen to this and then go, I think my margin is 30 or 40%. Oh, that's what everyone does. And my favourite question is always to then go, well, how did you come up with that?
Yeah.
And crickets every single time. And people go, oh, I've got a 30% margin because that's just what's normal. No, it's not. There's businesses out there that are doing double that easily. It's just because you're not trying or taking the interest to be able to go, hang on, let's understand this at a really deep level to go, am I pricing this effectively? Am I managing my costs? Can I squeeze an extra 5 or 10% out of this? And the more you understand about this, and then you had an example that we were talking about earlier, that where margin drops by 5 or 7%, and then you calculate the cost of what that decrease in margin is.
Yeah.
And then when you paint that to a business owner of like, hey, because you've taken your eye off the ball on your pricing strategy and your input costs, it's cost you tens or hundreds of thousands of dollars. A lot of business owners will sit there and just go, oh, gee, and that stuff I actually understand. And I know that I could have done that differently. And the beauty of it is it goes straight to the bottom line and it improves the net margin.
What I think is fascinating for business owners is they don't learn this stuff. But if you think about it, to make it simpler for people who don't get into their profit and loss and don't have a look at that, you do the same thing in your household. So you normally have your income level that you know that you get a week, a fortnight, a year.
Yep.
And then the bank or your landlord tell you, here's what we want you to pay us every month, fortnight, etc.
Yep.
And that's basically then you go, oh, okay, I've got my income less my cost of that. That keeps the house over my head, etc. That means that I'm left with my, let's say, gross margin. And then you go, right, now after that, we've got to pay for food, we've got to pay power, we've got to pay for insurance. We've got to pay for kids, we've got to put a bit of money aside, we've got these subscriptions.
Best you remember the kids. That's
I'm out here trying. And, we've got RedTube that we have to pay for, YouTube, whatever hubs you're paying for, etc.
Yes.
And then you go, oh, yeah, that's right. The media told me I'm not in control of my mortgage and my rent, so you can't really look at playing with that. So then you've either got to increase your income if you want more money, or most people default to, oh, yeah, maybe I will get rid of YouTube. We don't need Amazon Prime anymore. Maybe we'll just have that, for next year we can get it. Oh, shit, food is going up, so maybe we'll buy one less thing. Yeah. And you control all of the overheads, but you don't, because that main cost of living isn't really in control. But then, of course, the OCR drops, or you have to move to go to somewhere cheaper with rent to then give yourself some more margin. So I think people do understand this at a household level, but then don't go, shit, how does this apply in my business? The simplest way to think about it is that the suppliers sneak in an OCR rise all the time, and because you're not looking at it or the media aren't alerting you to it, you're just going about your business and then charging people based on what you charged them last week or the month before, and then don't realise when accountants come along and go, hey, your margin has been squeezed, what's going on? Oh, I don't know.
Yeah.
And when was the last time you looked at what your suppliers were charging you? I don't know, it wasn't that long ago, it was kind of, 18 months ago. Lots changed in 18 months, lots changed in 9 months.
Yeah. We probably haven't had a podcast on it for a while, but it's something that just comes up it's got to be weekly that we're talking about it with clients, where you're looking at a P&L. And I was looking at a set of accounts today, and they went out and I touched on gross profit. I said, look, this year compared to last year, there actually has been improvement, but overall, your overall profit has decreased because there's been some other costs that have snuck in that haven't been managed as well, which has kind of masked the improvement of gross profit. If there had been better visibility of that, it would have overall been better at the net profit level. But I think business owners have just got to get into the habit, and we say about setting the calendar reminders, all that kind of stuff, every single month. Look at your data, run the P&L, sales, direct costs, gross profit, and then start and build that picture up, okay? 1 month, 2 months, 3 months. Okay, now let's look at it at a quarter. What's the trend saying? Because I think 1 month in isolation, if it says 30%, you go, great, and you go the next month and it goes 28%. And then you go another month, it's bumped up to 40%. Well, over a quarter, it's going to average out. But you're going to want to understand how come one month you can do 40% and then in another month it's down to 20-something%. And that's where you've got to understand those subtle differences to go, okay, 40% is possible. How can we do that consistently? And then we've worked with business owners in the past, and I don't want to say the industry, but they had a number of different variable input costs that they had direct control over in terms of wages, let's say it's the raw materials, there was packaging, and other bits and pieces that went into it. And they could quite tightly control those at a very individual level, and they knew that gross profit, in theory, could get to, let's say, for example, 40-something%. And whenever it was below the target gross profit, it's just like, well, why? Okay, this part of direct cost blew out this month. Why? Let's drill into it. Oh, shit, okay. There was, you were thinking that sales were going to be up this period, so we were carrying more staff. We didn't have as many sales as we thought we would, so we had to pay wages. That's going to impact our margin. Okay, what can we do in the future to make sure that we're across our wages bill so it's more tied into what our sales are going to be?
Yeah, I think one thing we've encouraged a lot of clients to do this year is to drop the ego, drop the kind of, I think it's this, and actually go back and do some spot checking. We'd call this at Audit New Zealand, mate.
Ooh.
And we'd pick up something and go, let's actually just get a sample of data and see, does it stack up with what we think and what they're telling us, and say, no, you didn't actually sign that invoice off. That shouldn't have been paid. This is naughty. We're going to have to write a report now about improving the internal process. But businesses at that SME level don't have those internal processes to go, yeah, actually, we did finish that job and we circled back to see, were we as profitable as we thought? So we're saying to some business owners, can you please spot check for us margin in a product, in a service, in that job 6 months ago versus a month ago, and tell us what the difference in margin is? And I think it's a bit eye-opening for some of them who then realise, yeah, I've been caught with my pants down here a little bit where I haven't actually been keeping an eye on what our suppliers are charging us. Sheesh, our margins are a lot smaller, which is then putting more pressure on the business, and then they're then paying their loan, buying a cheeky small asset here and there and going, we've got no money.
Yeah.
And now it's all making sense. Oh, because we didn't control it at the margin level. Another thing that I saw recently that I thought was quite smart from a client was that they routinely will go around there's potential suppliers, and they'll have preferred, but every now and then they will go to the other potential ones and say, hey, like, this is how much we're putting through XYZ. What could you do for us? And they are one of those people or clients who are like, we're really loyal to people, but if it's a difference between us, you know, losing our business and therefore our family home, etc., we're going to have to pick the supplier that's going to look after us the best. And that's a routine practice for them. I heard from someone the other day, and they were saying the 1st of January, every year, they just put their prices up. And if people don't want to pay it, all right, sorry. Well, I've become a year more experienced in that time, so therefore you need to pay more. You're either on the bus with us or you're not. And if you're not, all right, well, now it's my job to go and convince some other people that I am this valuable. Like, that is a sharp mindset. You know, not many Kiwi people would roll to that level. But also then the other one, just having a hard conversation with suppliers saying, hey, we've done a lot of business with you this year. We want to stay in business. Is there any form of rebate we could get before the end of the year, or a form of discount? Don't ask, don't get. And actually being pleasantly surprised where they've been looked after, or a cheeky invite to something perhaps, or a right credit note onto your next, your next invoice.
One industry that does it really well, but I think on the average does it really well in a by accident way, in that it's probably not mathematical, is hospitality. In hospitality, a lot of smart operators, or most operators, will have 2 menus at a minimum, winter and summer. You know, you change based on the ingredients and stuff that come through. And at that time, you're going to review your drinks, your input costs, and then go, okay, we're going to add 50 cents or $1 to every drink. And then, okay, it's this menus that now come up, we'll price it accordingly. And then price, okay, it's now winter, we're going to stick on this pie, and we're going to stick on this soup. And last year it might have been $22. This year it's $27. We get into summer, salad season time, right? We're getting those tomatoes and those red onions that you absolutely love, that you're just going to pull out anyway. Last year, you know, your cheeky little side salad, $18. This year, $22. But you just pay it because you're out there consuming. the operator of the business is just going, okay, I've got an opportunity to change the cost. I know of some businesses that have just had the same menu year in, year out and don't review it.
Wow.
And then all of a sudden look at it and just go, 3-4 years have gone by. We're still selling the same stuff. We've got plenty of people coming in here because they like what we do. Yeah, they probably like what you do because it's fucking cheap as. Meanwhile, your food's gone up, your booze has gone up, and the big one, your wages have gone up. I tell you what's going down is your business because you're running out of cash.
I was going to say, what else is going up? Your debt to the IRD.
Yeah.
I thought maybe you were talking about an infamous cafe down the Manawatu way, and that was exactly, well, I don't want to talk out of turn, but what the business owner was citing is what happened is they tried to look after everyone and create this place people could come to. Effectively, the taxpayer was subsidising it because they couldn't keep up.
With the IRD.
Yeah. What else? Oh, the thing that shits me, mate, about January for hospo, there are 5 Thursdays in January. So
5 Thursdays.
yes, that might mean 5 pay runs. So we could see some hideous looking profit and losses in January for some of those businesses where it reflects 5 payments of wages.
Don't worry, mate. The Auckland bankers will make up for it down in the viaduct sinking piss.
Well, let's hope so. The other thing, mate, before we get out of here is opportunity cost and therefore margin. Now, I was speaking to a business owner recently and they were telling me about how they have a lot going on and they service quite a wide area. Now, let's say they were talking about Barry, the farmer, who is 100 k's away, and then Bob, who is only 15 kilometres away. Now, in their mind, they were saying, well, we charge Barry and Bob for that travel anyway, so it doesn't really matter whose work we do. And I said, well, that's one way to look at it, but what if Bob asks you to do larger jobs and therefore there's more profit in those jobs? Oh, okay, that kind of makes sense. So would we still do Barry's work if Bob, had more for us to do? Yeah, we could probably still do it. We could end up just hiring someone and we can add in some more people so we could still do it. I'm like, okay, I guess that kind of still makes sense as well because they're thinking, well, I'm still, going to send someone down there. We're going to get paid for the travel. And I think it can become very easy to just say yes to everything and keep going wider without stopping and going, okay, well, let's actually have a look and see how much we're making from Bob versus Barry and what's the long-term value of those clients and what's the opportunity cost of sending a good staff member, 100 k's down the road and 100 k's back. And then on the way back, they want to get something to eat as well. And then there's the repair cost to the vehicle, etc. And what's then the true profitability of that? And how I then ended up explaining this, and I'm sure you would give me the same advice. If I had 2 potential speaking gigs on the same day, and one required me to get up at 6 in the morning, drive to Auckland Airport, pay $70 to park for the day, get in into the Corio Lounge and have a couple of they're not even Kranskis anymore, subpar sausages.
Oh, you've lost me there. But there's no Kranskis. It's not
Don't
the
go.
worst.
And then fly to your favourite city, Wellington, and then get in a cab, and then go to the venue, and then sit around for a bit, and then speak, and then get back in the cab.
It's a lot of admin.
And then fly back, and then get my car, and then drive all the way back to Takapuna and get home at 6 p.m. at night, and I'd miss the gym, and on the same day, at 2 p.m. I could have driven across town in Auckland to speak at 3, nailed that, finished at 4 and ended at home at 6 probably as well. Which one would be more advantageous or have more margin in it for me to do?
Definitely the latter.
Yes.
But
I miss out on going to Wellington.
well, I don't know whether that's in the positive or the negative thing. I don't know how many people in Wellington actually listen to this. They probably find
Not
it
many.
too. Yeah, they probably find it too offensive. But knowing what your work ethic is like, I know that with you waking up at 6 o'clock and getting to the airport to have whatever food they've put on with your flat white coconut bloomin' milk hazelnut shot latte that you're sinking, with the Tesla on autopilot, you'll find a way to monetize the perceived downtime. But you're a freak, and if we go onto that typical scale, you're way out here somewhere. Now, it's probably off the camera at the moment. But if we come back to the average, there's this, I get a sense that with travel, with work and you're an employee, and this is where I suppose the business owner needs to put the employee hat on. It seems to be, we're getting the perks of being able to travel for business.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was like this as an employee. Oh, yeah.
Bingo. Yep, we're up. We're off to the Koro Lounge. Are we doing work while we're sitting in the Koro Lounge? Fuck no, we're not. We're sinking piss courtesy of the company. Like, they're paying for the blooming privilege of being in there. I'm going to enjoy the benefits. I'm going to sit on the plane with Wi-Fi. Am I going to do some work while I'm on that plane watching Wi-Fi? Fuck no. I'm enjoying the in-screen entertainment. And I'm dialing the call button for what? More piss. Then you go to the destination where you are. You're going to blooming do whatever it is you need to do at whatever meeting it is. Get that done. There's probably an hour or 2 hours worth of work. If there's an overnight there, because typically there is when it comes to business travel, you're going out for dinner. What are we doing? More drinking, more socializing. So the amount of work that you're squeezing into what is a full work day, the return on investment or the gross profit from the job is so infinitesimally small. You really got to question, is what we're doing really for an ideal client?
Is that word infinitesimally? What was that?
Infinitesimal.
Infinitesimal. That's
Yeah.
I've never heard
like
that.
That's like
Infinitesimal.
micro, macro.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to Google that.
Yeah, I might have made that up. I don't know. I haven't used that for a while. I mean, that's
No,
just teeny tiny. I mean, I'm used to dealing with teeny tiny stuff. So that's the type of language that I throw around.
Yeah, you got to keep rolling that out. That is good. Yeah, and I think it's easy. What the point I was going to get to is that when we don't have a lot of demand, we convince ourselves that everything is worth doing. And I work with business owners all the time where we start going through, what do you actually offer? And it's like, okay, we do that, then we do that, then we do that, then we do that. And I'm like, where's the margin coming from all of this? Oh, we don't really know. It's probably from 3. And then we dig into it and it's like, the margin's coming from 1, but we're not even chasing 1.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, but if we don't do 3, we won't get 1. How do you know? Oh, because we're not asking. They don't say that, obviously. They're like, oh, because that's just not how it works. But, could we go around and ask if there's more of number 1? Or actually, what I normally, to interrupt is I say, do you think that there would be more of that work? Oh, yeah. Oh, okay. So why are we doing the other things?
Yeah.
But we get caught in this kind of, Barry did ring up and said, hey, can you come down? I'm only 100 Ks away. Oh, we're quiet that day. Yeah, mate, no worries. Of course we can. But, on the way back, we do puncture a tyre or something and blow out the margin on it anyway. And now we've got Barry as a client and Barry's told his mate John, who's another 100 Ks away. And before we know it, we're like, well, what were we supposed to be doing?
Yeah. It's great, like, when you highlight that, product 1, 2, and 3, and you go back and you ask the questions of a client, but then you bring it and anchor it back to data to support the decision. And then sitting down with a client recently where they've got quite a vast product range. I think we spoke about it on a recent podcast around stock and any overdue stock, and then clearing that out to free up cash flow. On the other end, it's going, okay, let's use the data to find out what are our top 3 performing, 4, 5 performing stock items. You think that it's product 3, the data is actually showing that it's product 1 and 4. It's like, okay, if these are our highest performing products and you didn't know that because it's producing the most gross margin or you're selling more volume of them, whatever it is, then it's like, okay, who's buying them and how can we find more people like that to get more of those through the door?
Yeah.
And then if it's our highest performing product, is it highest performing by gross profit or by volume or whatever metric? And then let's pick apart even more and go, okay, we've got a product here that's a real humdinger. We're currently getting 40% gross profit on this. Going, great. Well, my next thing will be challenging the business owner. What can we do to get that to 41, 42, 40? When was the last time you increased the price? Do you think you could do this, that, and anything else to get that from 40 to 42, 43, 45, whatever the number is? And by the time you start asking those questions like what you were doing before around, hey, it's actually product 1, the business owners, yeah, and then they actually don't appreciate it until months later after doing through the work and it shows up on the P&L of going, hey, remember those conversations that we were having and those decisions that you made? Here's now the impact of those when we look at the P&L, and the difference is now starting to show up because you've got cash in the bank.
We could do an entire podcast on what should my margin be, but that's the problem is people focus on that rather than what is my margin, and the fact that it's decreasing is our first warning sign that that's a bigger problem than what it should be or what it could be or what your competitor's doing.
Yep.
We need to actually start by going, okay, what is my margin? How do I find that? Okay, I'm learning about this. What's the trend on it? How come it's decreasing over the last 3 years? Oh, it really dipped down. Oh, okay, that's because some of my wages are in there, but they weren't the year before. In business, you have to understand this stuff. And it's very tempting to go, well, I don't know numbers, I don't know accounting, I don't know about that stuff. Well, do you want to be another statistic that's currently going through the papers around liquidation?
Yeah.
If not, you need to learn this stuff.
Spot on. And it just is a final thing from me, thinking about the due diligence stuff that we do when helping people buy businesses. That is, in terms of the gross profit side of things and margin, probably one of the biggest things that gets honed into on reviewing a business and just understanding what are the influences and impacts to gross profit. And you see businesses, and we go back and ask for data over 3-5 years, typically 5 or more, and we're looking at the trend in gross profit and the amount of ones that are going, shit, they started at 43%, then it goes down to 38, and then it's 35, and then it's now 30, and it's just like, whoa, what's going on here? We had a business that was performing really well, and now it's not. Like, why? So for somebody that's coming in buying this business, like they're so emotionally involved in it, and like, oh man, I got to get this business. It's like, hang on a minute, there's something that's actually broken in here because it's not performing as well as it used to.
Yeah, really, really fundamental and important stuff, and something that all of us individually need to understand in our own businesses. So if you don't, well then put it on your to-do list to understand more about margin in your business.